Most men think love is earned by giving more attention, more effort, more proof. But the truth is brutal. The more you give without being valuable, the faster she loses interest. Because in every connection, someone is the investor and someone is the asset. If you act like the investor, she'll treat you like a bonus. If you become the asset, she'll protect, pursue, and compete for you. Machiavelli would have warned, power dies when it's given too freely. This isn't arrogance, it's strategy. In this video, you'll learn how to make a woman invest in you, emotionally and sexually, until walking away feels impossible. Watch until the end if you're done being an option and ready to become the asset every woman desires. Here's the first action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to truly invest in you and stop seeing you as an option. Understand the difference between dependence and investment. Dependence is when she stays because you make her comfortable. Investment is when she stays because she's afraid to lose what she's built with you. And those two look similar on the surface, but they lead to completely opposite outcomes. Dependence is what happens when you're always available, always giving, always proving. You respond instantly. You offer help before she even asks. You fill every silence, every gap, every moment of uncertainty with attention. At first, it feels romantic, like proof of your interest. But beneath the surface, you're killing her need to earn you. Because when she doesn't need to work for your presence, her brain marks you as secure and stops investing. It's the same mechanism that makes humans bored with abundance. When something is always there, it fades into the background. The mind attaches value only to what demands effort. That's why Machiavelli would have warned you. Power is maintained not by kindness, but by necessity. When you make yourself too easy to reach, you remove necessity, and with it, desire. Investment, on the other hand, is born when she must participate in the dynamic. When she texts and you don't reply immediately, she wonders what you're doing. When she wants to see you and you suggest another day, she has to reorganize her world to align with yours. That small friction doesn't push her away. It anchors her deeper. Because now, she's working for your time. She's earning your energy. And whatever we work for, we defend. This is the law every man must understand. The more she invests, the more she values. If you give everything, she gives nothing, because there's nothing left to give. But if you create space for her to act, to prove, to pursue, she'll attach herself to the process. That's the core of real attraction, shared effort. Machiavelli would have chuckled softly and said, "Men lose influence when they try to buy loyalty. It is stronger when others build it themselves. You don't buy her devotion with generosity. You let her earn it with pursuit. And remember, this isn't about arrogance or manipulation. It's about balance. You are the asset, not the customer. An asset doesn't chase buyers. It becomes so valuable that buyers compete for it. When you behave like that, calm, focused, selective, her instinct shifts. She no longer sees you as a comfort she can control. She sees you as an opportunity she must protect. The difference between dependence and investment is the difference between being used and being valued. So the next time you feel tempted to prove your worth through giving, stop. Make her give something first: attention, effort, emotion, time. Because once she invests, her pride will keep her there far longer than her affection ever could. Here's the second action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to truly invest in you. Understand how her mind assigns value. Men fall in love through comfort and consistency. Women through contrast and effort. It's not cruelty, it's biology. When a woman feels she has fully captured you, her subconscious marks the mission as complete. Her attention shifts elsewhere, not always to another man, but to another challenge. Because the female mind is wired to stay alert toward what demands effort, curiosity, and uncertainty. That's how desire is sustained, through a balance of safety and tension. When you remove tension, you remove the chemical that drives her investment. Her dopamine drops, her excitement fades. You didn't do anything wrong, you just became predictable. Machiavelli would have whispered with a knowing smile, "Humans value less what costs them nothing." And that applies not only to money or power, but to desire itself. Every time you cancel your own plans to please her, you're teaching her that your time has no price. Every time you over-explain, over-text, or over-justify, you're training her brain to see your attention as abundant, and therefore, unremarkable. And abundance kills perceived worth faster than any mistake you could make. The psychology is simple. Value is always relative to scarcity and effort. When something is rare, the brain interprets it as important. When something is abundant, it becomes invisible. That's why the men she truly respects always seem busy, mysterious, hard to read. It's not that they're playing games, it's that their focus isn't for sale. They have lives that demand their energy, so when they give attention, it means something. Machiavelli would have advised carefully, if you wish to be desired, never let your presence become routine. Routine breeds comfort. Comfort kills pursuit. Here's your shift. Stop trying to make her feel constantly secure in you. Let her earn that security through time and consistency. Make her effort the price of emotional access. Remember, you are not trying to manipulate her. You're simply restoring the natural order. You are the asset, not the investor. She is the one who must analyze, evaluate, and invest. And just like any investor, she only invests in what she believes can grow in value. So build that value, not through words, but through discipline, focus, and purpose. Because when your attention feels earned, it becomes priceless. And when it's priceless, she'll guard it like gold. Here's the third action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to invest in you and stop seeing you as a replaceable comfort. Make your attention a scarce resource. Every human system, economy, politics, or desire operates under the same law. Scarcity creates value. When something is rare, the mind assigns it meaning. When something is everywhere, it becomes noise. Most men destroy their own value not because they're unattractive, but because they're too available. They text constantly. They check in too soon. They always say yes. And in doing so, they teach her subconscious, "You can have me anytime, at no cost." No woman invests in what costs nothing. Machiavelli would have warned you sharply. Never appear too eager to please. Eagerness reveals dependence. Dependence, in love or politics, is the death of respect. When you are too present, too predictable, too generous without condition, you remove the one thing that fuels emotional investment: uncertainty. And without uncertainty, there is no tension. Without tension, there is no desire. The men who are truly valued don't run from scarcity. They create it. They understand that silence can speak louder than words, that delayed responses build curiosity, that boundaries are not obstacles, they are filters. You must begin to think of your attention as a currency. Each message, each glance, each compliment is an investment of value. If you flood the market with that currency, inflation happens. Your words lose weight, your time loses worth. Machiavelli would have smiled knowingly and said, "The wise ruler gives little, so that every gift feels divine." Apply that same rule to your presence. Don't text all day. Let her wonder what fills your time. Don't cancel your priorities. Let her adjust to your schedule. Don't over-explain your absence. Let silence do the talking. Because when your energy is rare, every ounce of it becomes significant. Every message feels like a privilege. Every look, a signal to decode. And this decoding process is where she invests, mentally, emotionally, and eventually sexually. But remember, Scarcity isn't about playing games. You can't fake value by pretending to be unavailable. Real scarcity comes from having a life so rich and full that your attention naturally becomes selective. A man who has options doesn't need to act mysterious. He is mysterious because his time is already valuable. That's the paradox Machiavelli would have urgently told you to embrace. You don't gain power by withholding. You gain it by living fully enough that you have something worth withholding. So build your value. Fill your days with purpose. And when she finally earns a piece of your time, it will feel like winning something rare. Because that's exactly what you'll have become. A man whose presence is worth the chase. Here's the fourth action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to truly invest in you. Control your availability, because scarcity defines your worth. Every economy, every hierarchy, every relationship follows the same invisible law. When something is limited, people chase it. When it's always there, they ignore it. You can be the kindest, smartest, most loyal man in the world, but if you're always accessible, you'll be invisible. Because in the female psyche, abundance equals safety, not attraction. She may like you for your consistency, but she only desires you for your rarity. Machiavelli would have warned you like a strategist before battle. Never make yourself too familiar, or your presence will lose its authority. He understood that distance amplifies power, that when people have to earn proximity, they value it. So here's what this means for you. Stop making your time cheap. Stop being the man she can reach whenever she's bored, lonely, or curious. You are not a convenience. You are a reward. The mind assigns worth to what it can't easily predict or possess. When she doesn't know what you'll do next, when your attention isn't guaranteed, her imagination activates. She starts thinking, questioning, replaying every moment. That's emotional investment in motion. It's not cruelty, it's psychological truth. Humans don't protect what they get for free. They protect what they've earned. Machiavelli would have smiled slightly and said, "The prince who is too available becomes a servant. So never offer yourself like a servant. Be kind, but selective. Be generous, but measured. Be warm, but not always reachable. Remember, you are the asset. Your presence must feel like a privilege, not a default. And when it does, she'll start to invest. Not because you manipulated her, but because you reintroduced value into the equation. Scarcity is not about absence. It's about meaningful presence. Each time she earns your attention, she feels accomplished. Each message you send becomes a signal of her progress. Each moment of silence becomes a test she wants to pass. That's how emotional equity is built. Not through chasing, through curation. Not through begging for her energy, through controlling your own. The man who understands scarcity never asks for love. He inspires investment, one heartbeat at a time. Here's the fifth action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to invest deeply in you, emotionally, mentally, and even sexually. Become a man whose life justifies her effort. Too many men try to make women invest in an empty asset. They demand loyalty without offering purpose, attention without depth, commitment without vision. And that's why she loses interest, because there's nothing to invest in. Machiavelli would have advised with quiet authority, power that stands on nothing collapses at the first wind. He knew that no one invests in weakness. They invest in potential. So if you want her to value you, you must first become a man who values himself. Have a life so full, so directional, so meaningful, that entering it feels like joining a movement, not babysitting a broken dream. This is where most men fail. They think withholding attention makes them high value. But scarcity without substance is just arrogance in disguise. Because the foundation of all attraction is authentic power, not pretending to be wanted, but actually being worth wanting. Here's how that looks in practice. You're focused on your mission, your goals, your health, your craft. You don't revolve around her schedule. You revolve around your purpose. You have friends, projects, ambitions, and passions that existed before her and will exist even if she leaves. When she sees that, something shifts in her psychology. She realizes you're not seeking validation, you're creating value, and she wants to be part of that creation. Machiavelli would have smiled knowingly and said, "Men follow those who move with purpose, not those who beg for company." The same applies in love. A woman's instinct isn't drawn to the man who chases her. It's drawn to the man who moves so powerfully that she wants to keep up. You don't attract investment through words. You attract it through momentum. When your life already has meaning, your time becomes precious. And when your time becomes precious, every woman who enters your world feels the need to prove she deserves a share of it. That's not manipulation. That's magnetism. It's what separates the man who needs attention from the man who commands it. So improve discipline yourself. Not for her, but for you. Because the moment your life carries weight, her attention becomes a form of application, not charity. She will chase, adjust, and invest, not to impress you, but to belong to the world you've built. In short, become the kind of man whose presence feels like a return on investment. When she gives, she must feel that her effort grows in value, because she's linked to something real, strong, and alive. Here's the sixth action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to invest in you, and never drift away once she has you. Learn how emotional investment is built in the female mind. A woman doesn't fall for logic. She falls for emotion that costs her something. Not pain, but effort. The effort of wondering, analyzing, interpreting, imagining. Every time she invests mental energy in understanding you, her attachment deepens. That's how the brain works. What we think about repeatedly, we start to value. And what we work for emotionally, we struggle to release. So your job as a man is not to flood her with affection, but to stimulate emotional engagement. You do this by being observant instead of reactive, calm instead of desperate, unpredictable instead of obvious. Machiavelli would have advised in a low, strategic tone, "The wise man does not force loyalty. He makes others build it through their own choices." He understood that humans justify their emotions through the work they put in. When she invests her curiosity, her effort, her patience, her pride becomes tied to you. You are no longer just a man. You become a project of meaning. That's why overgiving is fatal. If you anticipate every need, fix every mood, and explain every silence, she has no room left to participate, no space to earn your understanding. And without earning, there's no ownership. Instead, you must build emotional friction, small, calculated moments that make her wonder about your mind. Moments where you respond with observation instead of validation. If she says, "I've been stressed all week," most men reply, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." You instead say, "I can tell." You go quiet when something's heavy on your mind. And then you change the subject. What just happened? You showed deep awareness, but withheld emotional closure. Her brain now loops around your words. She replays the moment, analyzes it, wonders what you saw in her. That's investment. Machiavelli would have smiled faintly and said, "Never complete the game when others are still eager to play. Because unfinished emotions drive attention longer than perfect answers." Here's your next shift. Become the man who reveals less, but perceives more. She must feel that you see through her, but not entirely. That you understand her, but not enough for her to stop trying to revolve herself. The more she works to maintain your attention, the more her emotions solidify. She'll talk about you to her friends. She'll dream about you. She'll interpret your silences as signals. And once her mind is emotionally invested, her body will follow naturally. Remember, this isn't about cold manipulation. It's about creating balance, allowing her to participate in the dance. Because when she invests energy in you, she's not just chasing desire. She's protecting her own pride. And that's the most powerful kind of attachment. The one that feels like a choice, but is really the result of psychological investment she can no longer undo. Here's the 7th action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to truly invest. Not just emotionally, but psychologically. Make anticipation do the work for you. Desire doesn't grow in what's already experienced. It grows in what could happen next. Anticipation is the bridge between comfort and obsession. It's what turns a casual connection into an addictive one, because her mind keeps chasing closure that never fully comes. Most men destroy anticipation because they rush the process. They want immediate validation, instant intimacy, constant reassurance. They text too soon, touch too fast, explain too much. But what happens when you reveal everything too early? Her imagination dies, and with it, her emotional tension. Machiavelli would have smiled in quiet irony and said, "Never give all your power at once. Make others hunger for what you withhold." He understood that suspense is not weakness, it's control. Here's how you use anticipation as a tool of power. You don't ignore her, you delay her. You don't play games, you play timing. Every word, every silence, every gesture becomes intentional. When she sends a late-night message, don't reply instantly. Wait until morning, not out of ego, but out of rhythm. When she gets vulnerable, don't rush to comfort her. Pause, let silence hang in the air. Make her feel the weight of your stillness. That tension is gold. It makes her heartbeat sink to your pace. And when you finally respond, you do it with depth, not with volume. One sentence that feels deliberate carries more impact than 10 empty reassurances. It tells her your attention isn't cheap and your time has gravity. Machiavelli would have whispered sharply, "He who can control the pace of others commands their focus." When she adjusts to your rhythm, she's already investing. She begins checking her phone for your message. She starts rehearsing what to say when she sees you. She thinks about you for sleeping and after waking. That's emotional labor, and that's how investment grows. The key is subtlety. You're not withholding affection. You're letting space do the talking, because silence invites imagination, and imagination builds tension stronger than any physical move could. You must let her mind participate in the story. Let her fill in the blanks with desire, curiosity, confusion. That's what makes your presence unforgettable. Not because you gave her everything, but because you left something unsolved. And remember, you can't fake this kind of tension. If you act calculated, she'll feel manipulation. But if you're genuinely calm, grounded, confident, your restraint will feel natural. It will communicate abundance, not fear. Because the man who doesn't rush has nothing to prove. He knows he's the asset, the one she must earn, decode, and eventually pursue. Machiavelli would have concluded with precision. Power lies not in what you show, but in what others imagine about you. Make her imagination your ally, and she'll do half the work for you. Here's the 8th action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to truly invest in you. Reverse the dynamic, and make her the one who advances toward you. Most men spend their lives chasing. They chase attention. They chase validation. They chase the next moment of approval. And in doing so, they destroy the very magnetism that could make her want them. Because the more you chase, the more she relaxes. The more you lean forward, the more she leans back. Machiavelli would have warned you coldly. Power flows to the one who waits, not to the one who begs. And in the dance between man and woman, this law remains undefeated. You must learn to build tension, and then withdraw before it resolves. A look that lasts a second too long, a silence that carries weight, a gesture that almost reveals your desire but doesn't. That almost is where her mind ignites. That pause is where her imagination starts working for you. Because when she feels that spark but can't quite name it, her pride steps in. She needs to confirm your interest. She needs to feel in control again. So she acts. She texts first. She touches you lightly. She brings up a topic just to see how you'll react. That's her investment beginning to take form. Machiavelli would have smiled subtly and said, "The clever ruler lets others reveal their loyalty before rewarding it." You must do the same. Don't remove the mystery. Let her curiosity become the fuel that drives her toward you. When you stay composed after moments of connection, she wonders why. When you don't immediately respond to subtle signals, she questions what you're thinking. That quiet uncertainty grows stronger than any word you could say. You're not refusing affection. You're guiding rhythm. You're showing that your attention isn't automatic, that it must be earned, not assumed. The most magnetic men understand this paradox. The moment she feels your calm restraint, she starts to lean in. The moment she realizes she can't predict you, she begins to adapt. And in that adaptation, her emotions grow deeper. Because now, she's not reacting to your pursuit. She's chasing your presence. She's not responding to your validation. She's searching for your approval. And when that happens, she's emotionally invested by her own will. Machiavelli would have summarized this with precision. When others believe they are the ones choosing, your control is complete. So don't rush to prove desire. Let her act on her own impulses. Create the kind of calm energy that invites pursuit, not through arrogance but through certainty. Because when a woman feels she earned your attention, she'll guard it fiercely. And when she feels she initiated the connection, she'll fight to sustain it, long after others would have let it fade. Here's the ninth and final action you must absolutely master if you want a woman to invest deeply in you and never treat you like an option again. Build value that exists even when she's not watching. Too many men try to look valuable instead of being valuable. They mimic confidence, copy strategies, act mysterious, but underneath, there's nothing solid. And women, especially the most perceptive ones, can feel that instantly. Because energy doesn't lie. A man can fake charm, but he can't fake presence. Machiavelli would have advised sternly, appearances can open the door, but only substance keeps it open. In other words, she might be drawn to your frame at first, but she'll stay only if your foundation is real. This is why your power must be rooted in reality, in the life you've built, not just the mask you wear. When you have discipline, direction, and peace, your energy communicates it long before your words do. You don't need to prove anything. You radiate something she can't easily find elsewhere. And this is where the investor metaphor reaches its truth. She can only invest in a man whose asset has long-term stability. If your confidence collapses at the first test, she knows your value isn't real. If your life feels empty when she's gone, she knows you were pretending. But if you remain calm, purposeful, fulfilled, she realizes your worth stands on its own. And that's when she invests, not out of pity, but out of instinct. Because a woman's mind, even without realizing it, measures risk. She asks herself subconsciously, if I invest in this man, what do I gain? And what could I lose? Your job is to make the gain undeniable, to be so centered, so rare, that she feels safer with you than without you. Machiavelli would have whispered with precision, power that depends on another's opinion is already lost. Which means, your value cannot be reactional. You can't be confident only when she texts you. You can't be ambitious only when someone believes in you. You can't be stable only when things go your way. True value is silent. It's built when no one's watching. It's reinforced every time you stay consistent when others fold. And it's this quiet strength that makes a woman feel she's found something solid enough to bet her emotions on. Think of it like this. If you're the asset, your purpose is your currency. Your self-control is your security. Your peace is your brand. And the more stable your energy, the higher your perceived worth. When she feels that she's in the presence of a man who doesn't need validation, who's too grounded to be shaken, her instincts flip. She stops comparing you to others. She stops testing your worth. Because now, you're no longer an option. You're a standard. And once a man becomes a standard, no woman wants to go back to the ordinary. Machiavelli would have ended this lesson with calm certainty. The strongest fortress is built within the self. So before asking any woman to invest in you, make sure you are the kind of man worth investing in. When your value is real, her loyalty becomes natural. Because true power doesn't demand belief, it proves it through presence. If you've listened this far, you already understand what most men never will. Women don't invest in promises. They invest in value they can feel. So build your value. Guard your energy. Move with calm conviction. Because the moment you do, you stop being an option and become the standard every woman desires and every man envies. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing your worth. Not cocky, just confident that you can succeed and become someone's desire simply by being you. So, starting today, become the man worth betting on, and you'll see the world will start betting on you. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.